Welcome to our latest UK album review, where we're reviewing each of the albums and artists that reached #1 in the UK during 1976. If you enjoy this video, please like and subscribe, and ring the bell to be notified of new content. Thanks. Before we review the #1s, here's a quick preview of the 12 albums that just missed out and only made #2 on the chart. There'll be a separate video posted to this channel that reviews the near misses, so keep a lookout for that. Now, on with the show. First up for 1976 was Queen's A Night at the Opera, which was named after the Marx Brothers film of the same name, and was reportedly the most expensive album ever recorded at the time of its release. A Night at the Opera was Queen's 4th UK charting album, and it was the first of their 10 #1s. The album contained 12 tracks, including the singles Bohemian Rhapsody and You're My Best Friend, as well as favourites such as Love of My Life and I'm in Love with My Car. A Night at the Opera entered the chart at #2 on the 7th of December 1975, and it reached #1 2 weeks later. It spent 4 of the next 5 weeks at the top of the chart, and it has spent a total of 72 weeks on the chart. Queen reached the top of the UK album chart a year later with A Day at the Races. After that, they peaked at #4 with News of the World in November 1977. Perry Como temporarily replaced Queen at #1 with his 40 Greatest Hits, an album which has never had an official CD release in the UK. This gave Perry Como the 8th of his 14 UK Top 75 charting albums, and it was the second of his 2 #1s, following his success with And I Love You So in 1973. Among the 40 tracks on the album are Perry Como's interpretations of Don McLean's And I Love You So, Chris Christopherson's For the Good Times, and Roberta Flack's Killing Me Softly.
And you love me too, for the good times, killing me softly with her song, killing me softly.
40 Greatest Hits first reached the top of the chart on the 16th of November 1975, where it stayed for 5 weeks. After it was replaced by Queen for 2 weeks, it again placed at the top of the chart for the week of the 4th of January 1976. The album has spent a total of 30 weeks on the chart. Perry Como next charted with the compilation For the Good Times in December 1983, which peaked at #41. Following that, he next charted with another compilation, Gold Greatest Hits in 2001, this time reaching #55. After Queen had replaced Perry Como at #1 for a further 2 weeks, it was Roy Orbison's turn with The Best of Roy Orbison, which was released on Arcade Records, a label that was in competition with K-tel. This was the 12th of Roy Orbison's 27 UK Top 75 album chart entries, with his first entry dating back to 1963. It was also the first of his 2 UK #1s. The Best Of contained 20 tracks, and it included the UK #1 hits Only the Lonely, It's Over, and Oh Pretty Woman.
Only the lonely, it's over. Pretty woman, walking down the street, pretty woman.
The Best of Roy Orbison spent 3 weeks on the chart in November and December 1975, before re-entering the chart on the 11th of January 1976. It reached #1 2 weeks later, where it stayed for a single week, and it spent 20 weeks on the chart in total. Roy Orbison next charted in 1981, with his compilation Golden Days reaching #63. After that, he charted in 1987 with another compilation, In Dreams The Greatest Hits, this time reaching #86. American country music singer and guitarist Slim Whitman replaced Roy Orbison at the top of the chart with his compilation, The Very Best of Slim Whitman. The Very Best Of was the second of Slim Whitman's 7 UK album chart entries, and it was the first of his 2 UK #1 albums. The album contained 20 tracks, including the #1 hit Rosemary, as well as his #7 single Indian Love Call, and his #14 chart entry, Happy Anniversary.
My Rosemary, will you answer to
The Very Best of Slim Whitman entered the chart at number 54 on the 25th of January, and it reached number 1 the following week, where it stayed for 6 weeks. It spent a total of 17 weeks on the chart. Slim Whitman went on to chart 2 times in 1977. Red River Valley spent 4 weeks at number 1 during the early part of the year, before Home on the Range peaked at number 2 in October. Status Quo were next to number 1 with their 9th studio album, Blue For You. This gave Status Quo their 7th UK Top 75 album chart entry, and it was the 3rd of their 4 UK number 1 albums, following 1973's Hello and 1975's On The Level. The album contains 9 tracks, and it opens with the live favourite, Is There a Better Way? It also includes the UK number 7 single Rain, and the UK number 11 mystery song. Blue For You entered the chart at number 1 on the 14th of March, and it stayed at the top for 3 weeks. It spent a total of 30 weeks on the chart. Status Quo entered the UK album chart on 2 occasions during 1977. Their live album, simply titled Live, reached number 3 in March, before their 10th studio album, Rocking All Over the World, peaked at number 5 in November. Replacing Status Quo, it was the soundtrack of the British TV musical drama, Rock Follies. The album contains songs from the show, sung by stars Julie Covington, Charlotte Cornwell, and Rula Lenska. The songs were composed by Howard Schuman and Roxy Music's Andy Mackay. The album contains 12 tracks including Talking Pictures, Hot Neon, and Bieber Nova.
I can put you in the talking picture. Talking picture. She is looking at Hot Neon. She is
Rock Follies entered the chart at number 1 on the 4th of April, and it spent 3 of the next 4 weeks at the top spot. The album spent a total of 15 weeks on the chart. The success of the Rock Follies TV series led to a second series in 1977. The soundtrack for the second series, titled Rock Follies of 77, reached number 13 on the UK album chart. Led Zeppelin temporarily replaced Rock Follies at number 1 with their 7th studio album, Presence. This was the 7th of Led Zeppelin's 24 UK album chart entries, and their 6th UK number 1 album, following their chart-topping success with their previous 5 releases. As with other Led Zeppelin albums, no singles were released from Presence. It contains 7 tracks, opening with a 10-minute-long Achilles' Last Stand. Other tracks include Nobody's Fault But Mine, Presence entered the chart at number 1 on the 18th of April, and it stayed there for a single week. The album spent a total of 16 weeks on the chart. Led Zeppelin were to hit the top of the album chart again later in the year. We'll hear more about that later in the video. Following Led Zeppelin, it was ABBA with their first Greatest Hits compilation. Greatest Hits gave ABBA the 3rd of their 23 UK album chart entries, and it was the first of their 10 UK number 1 albums. Early pressings of the album contained 14 tracks, including the UK number 1 hits Waterloo and Mamma Mia. Later editions were expanded to 15 tracks with the inclusion of Fernando. Greatest Hits entered the chart at number 1 on the 2nd of May, and it initially stayed at the top of the chart for 9 weeks, before returning for a further 2 weeks later in the year. To date, the album has spent 130 weeks on the chart. ABBA next entered the album chart in November 1976, with their 4th studio album, Arrival. This album would go on to top the chart in 1977. They also reached number 1 with their 5th studio album, titled The Album, in February 1978. Up next to number 1, it was Rod Stewart with his 7th solo studio album, A Night on the Town. This was the 8th of Rod Stewart's 51 UK album chart entries, and it was his 6th UK number 1 album following his success with Every Picture Tells a Story, Never a Dull Moment, Sing It Again, Rod, Smiler, and Atlantic Crossing. A Night on the Town contained 9 tracks, including the UK number 5 single Tonight's the Night, the number 2 The Killing of Georgie, and the 1977 number 1 hit The First Cut Is the Deepest.
Tonight's the night. The last time I saw George alive was in the summer of '75. The first cut is the deepest, baby.
The album entered the chart at number 2 on the 27th of June, and it reached the number 1 spot the following week. It stayed at the top of the chart for 2 weeks, and it spent a total of 47 weeks on the chart. Rod Stewart next entered the UK album chart with his Best of album in mid-1977, which reached number 20. He then charted at number 3 with Footloose and Fancy Free, his 8th solo studio album, in November 1977. After Rod Stewart, it was the Beach Boys with their greatest hits collection, 20 Golden Greats. This gave the Beach Boys the 19th of their 40 UK album chart entries, following their first entry with Surfing USA in 1965. It was also the first of the band's 2 UK number 1 albums. Amongst the 20 tracks included on the album are the UK number 1 hits Good Vibrations and Do It Again, and the number 2 single God Only Knows.
Picking up good
God only knows what I'd be without you.
20 Golden Greats entered the chart at number 1 on the 18th of July, where it stayed for 10 weeks. The album went on to spend 85 weeks on the chart. The Beach Boys also charted with their latest studio album, 15 Big Ones, in July 1976, peaking at number 31. After that they reached number 28 with The Beach Boys' Love You in 1977. Philadelphia group Stylistics followed the Beach Boys to number 1 with the Best of Volume 2. This was the 8th of the Stylistics' 10 UK charting albums, and it was the 2nd of their 2 number 1s, following their success with the Best of Volume 1 in 1975. The album contained 12 tracks and included the UK number 1 hit single Can't Give You Anything But My Love, as well as their number 3, Sing Baby Sing, and their number 4, Can't Help Falling in Love. The Best of the Stylistics Volume 2 entered the chart at number 40 on the 12th of September, and it reached the number 1 spot 2 weeks later, where it stayed for a single week. The album spent a total of 20 weeks on the chart. The Stylistics next charted with their compilation, The Greatest Hits of the Stylistics, in 1992, peaking at number 34. After that, another compilation, The Very Best Of, reached number 30 in 2007. Canvey Island's Dr. Feelgood replaced the Stylistics at number 1 with their live album, Stupidity. This gave Dr. Feelgood the 2nd of their UK Top 75 charting albums, and it was the band's sole UK number 1 album. The album contained 13 tracks, 7 of which were recorded live in Sheffield, and 6 recorded live in Southend. Among the tracks are Going Back Home, I'm a Hog for You Baby, and Roxette. Stupidity entered the chart at number 8 on the 26th of September, and it reached number 1 the following week. It spent a single week at the top of the chart, and 9 weeks on the chart in total. Dr. Feelgood next entered the album chart with Sneaking Suspicion in June 1977, peaking at number 10. They then entered the chart 4 months later with Be Seeing You, which peaked at number 55. After ABBA's greatest hits had claimed a further 2 weeks at the top of the chart, it was the compilation, Soul Motion. This compilation contained 20 tracks, including Barry White's UK number 1, You're the First, The Last, My Everything, The 3 Degrees number 1, When Will I See You Again, and KC and the Sunshine Band's UK number 5 single, That's the Way I Like It.
When will I see you again?
Soul Motion first entered the chart at number 27 on the 10th of October, and it reached the number 1 spot 2 weeks later, where it stayed for 2 weeks. It spent a total of 13 weeks on the chart. Following Soul Motion, Led Zeppelin were back at the top of the chart with their second number 1 album of the year, The Song Remains the Same, a live album which also serves as the soundtrack to the concert film of the same name. The Song Remains the Same was the 8th of Led Zeppelin's 24 UK album chart entries, and it gave the band their 7th UK number 1 album. It contains 9 tracks, opening with Rock and Roll, closing with Whole Lotta Love, and of course it features Stairway to Heaven. The Song Remains the Same entered the chart at number 5 on the 31st of October, and it reached the number 1 spot the following week, where it stayed for a single week. The album spent a total of 17 weeks on the chart. Led Zeppelin next entered the UK album chart with their 8th studio album In Through the Outdoor in 1979, again reaching the number 1 spot. After that, they charted at number 4 with Coda in 1982, almost 2 years after the group had disbanded following the death of drummer John Bonham. Burt Weedon replaced Led Zeppelin at number 1 with his compilation 22 Golden Guitar Greats, an album which made Weedon the first solo guitarist to have a number 1 album. 22 Golden Guitar Greats was the second of Burt Weedon's UK charting albums, and it was his sole number 1. Among the 22 tracks on the album are Weedon's charting singles Apache, which reached number 24, and Guitar Boogie Shuffle, which peaked at number 10. 22 Golden Guitar Greats first charted at number 55 on the 17th of October, and it reached number 1 4 weeks later, where it stayed for a single week. The album spent 25 weeks on the chart. This was the last of Burt Weedon's albums to enter the UK albums chart. The final number 1 album of 1976 was Glen Campbell's 20 Golden Greats. This was the 7th of Glen Campbell's 15 UK charting albums, and it was his sole UK number 1. Among the 20 tracks on the album are Campbell's 2 UK number 4 hits, Honey Come Back and Rhinestone Cowboy, and his number 7 single Wichita Lineman.
Honey, come back where you belong to.
Like a rhinestone cowboy and the Wichita Lineman.
Glen Campbell's 20 Golden Greats entered the chart at number 5 on the 14th of November, and it reached the top of the chart the following week. It stayed at number 1 for 6 weeks, and it spent a total of 27 weeks on the chart. Glen Campbell next entered the UK albums chart with his studio album Southern Nights, which peaked at number 51 in 1977. After that, he peaked at number 47 with another compilation, The Complete Glen Campbell, in 1989. That concludes our review of the number 1 albums of 1976. We hope you enjoyed it, and please come back for the next countdown. Thanks for watching.